Hey everyone, and welcome to the Progress Campaign's Get Out the Vote series. The COVID-19 powered for in-person campaign. So, over the course of the next couple of weeks, until November 3rd, we're going to virtually tour the entire country and introduce to you all the candidates running up and down the ballot. So we're starting off not in just one of the nicest cities in Georgia, but in the United States, in Savannah, Georgia, where we'll talk to Marcus Thompson, who's running for the 164th district in the Georgia State House.
Well, my name is Marcus Thompson. I'm running for Georgia State Representative for District 164. I started doing this because service has always been in my blood, but it became evident that there was an issue in this state, for healthcare when I myself had to, I was in the hospital for Stevens-Johnson syndrome, and I was there for an extended period of time, and then afterwards having to deal with the insurance companies, and lack of access to healthcare was difficult. And that's coming from someone that had health insurance. And then after that, people started touching base with me, saying that they felt like I would be a great representative. And so at that point, I felt like this was the only thing that I could do. So that's why I ended up running. Well, with healthcare, one of the things that I'm doing to accomplish greater access to better healthcare is forming task force with people that know exactly what they're doing. I'm not a doctor, but I know what it's like to be a Georgian and need insurance. But that's where my expertise ends. So I've connected with doctors, a director at the CDC, and a doctor that has given her life towards helping women, helping people that could not really help themselves. And they're two of my primary members of this task force. People always say that I should just concentrate on campaigning and winning, but if I don't have anything ready to go day one, then, am I really doing something for the people, or am I doing this for myself? So that's what I'm going to focus on. And Medicaid expansion. Thank you. There is a bill that is out right now for Medicaid expansion, but it is curious to me that they signed this bill in an election year, when Medicaid expansion is going to be targeting maternal mortality rate that has been raging out of control for almost 10 years. It is unacceptable. And the fact that they signed it, they started the process a month ago, does not mean that it's going to go through after the election is up. I guarantee you that I would push to make sure that we get Medicaid expansion, that the lives of mothers that could have been prevented would stop, or losing the lives of mothers that could have been prevented would stop. As of right now, it's just a political ploy, unfortunately. If anybody would like to contact me, I firmly believe that if you don't know the people you're representing, how can you represent them? So I welcome people to give me a call. I welcome people to email my campaign, to reach out to me via my website, electmarcusforus.com. That's elect Marcus, MARCUS, forus.com, all words. You can also call me at 912-596-1737 and email me at marcus@electmarcusforus.com. I welcome this. One of the things that I'm going to do during my term is have a weekly Zoom meeting where I will invite anybody that would like to come to learn more about the process, learn more about the votes that I plan on giving, learn more about the bills and the resolutions that are on the floor. This is something that I don't think many representatives do in this area, and so I'm happy to be one of the first.
Thanks, Marcus. Next, we're going to go down the coast of Georgia, down to Brunswick, where Julie Jordan is running for the 179th district in the Georgia State House.
Hello. I want to start by thanking Our Progress for inviting me to participate in this candidate forum. My name is Julie Jordan, and I am proud to be the Democratic nominee for House District 179. Growing up, I was fortunate to have a wonderful and loving home. I was adopted at 2 weeks old by my parents, Bob and Janet Jordan. My mom was a small business owner, and my dad worked at our local grocery store. I learned early the value of hard work and family. I enjoyed school, but I loved sports, and that's when I first found my passion for leadership as well. Playing sports eventually led to coaching and the decision to pursue a career in education. I moved south over 30 years ago to attend graduate school at Georgia Southern, and that's when I fell in love with Georgia and our beautiful coast. I've worked in our public schools in Glenn County for over 20 years as a counselor, a teacher, a coach, and finally as a registrar at Glenn Academy. I retired last year to focus my full attention on running to represent our entire community in the Georgia House. Long before I ran for office, I've been working in this community. Whether it was helping organize Women's Voices of Glenn County, joining 100 Miles to advocate for our coast, or serving on Selden Park Advisory Board. I was also proud to be an early voice for justice for Ahmaud Arbery and to speak at the rallies this spring that inspired our community's call for justice and change. That's a little bit about me, but let's talk about why I'm running for office. I'm in this race for everyone in our community. I'm running to make all voices heard and to unite our community, because together we will ensure that our county is safe and vibrant, that we all have quality and affordable health care, and that we protect and preserve our environment. I know that the road to recovery from the coronavirus pandemic will not be easy, and we will need a state representative like me who will advocate in Atlanta for the needs of our entire community. I am willing to fight for the things that matter most, to raise the minimum wage so our friends and neighbors can support themselves and their families, to expand Medicaid and Medicare to cover nearly 5,000 of our neighbors who don't have insurance through no fault of their own. We must ensure that all of our children have access to critical early childhood education by expanding and guaranteeing pre-K for everyone. And finally, respecting our environment and providing clean air and water by cleaning up our Superfund toxic waste sites and preparing for climate change and sea level rise. I know the road to recovery from this pandemic will be tough, but together we can build on the strength of this community and build back a better Glenn County that benefits all of us. I'm asking for your vote and your support. Early voting starts October 12th and Election Day is November 3rd. If you want to find out more information or join me at julieforgeorgia.com and on my social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, I am Julie Jordan, running for Georgia State House District 179, and I'm asking for your vote and your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. Zooming out a bit, we're going to talk to Joyce Griggs, who's running for Georgia's 1st congressional district, which takes from Savannah all the way down throughout the coast.
I am Joyce Marie Griggs, retired Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army. I'm a combat veteran. I'm a Bronze Star recipient. I deployed to Iraq 3 times, and I'm a former practicing attorney in Savannah, Georgia. I have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. And the reason I'm one of 10 children. And so we grew up dirt poor, and I worked 2 jobs to get through college. Thank God, no student loans. So I've worked hard to get my education and pay for it. In any event, the reason I am running is that the people of the 1st Congressional District in Georgia, which consists of 17 counties, need a strong voice in Washington. And I'm not running because of me. I am running for the people of this district. And as I said before, there are 17 counties, and the counties are very diverse. From Savannah all the way down to the coast of St. Mary, we have 4 military bases in this district. And I'm running, as I said, not about me, but it's for the hardworking people in the 1st Congressional District. The people are suffering. A lot of them are suffering right now, especially during this pandemic. They're suffering because of lack of jobs, lack of health care, housing. So many are being evicted. But in any event, I am running as a servant for the people. I have always been a servant. I've worked disenfranchised, the least of these, and I know how to work with people from those to the lowest level to the highest level. My military background give me an extreme advantage as far as working with all groups of people. And I'm running to make a difference for the people in the first congressional district, not just this district, but for us Americans, because this is a great country and we must work together. And I am a fighter and I will work to change things and make things better for all people.
Thank you, Joyce. Now we are heading over to the western portion of Georgia to Columbus, where Mark Arnett is running for the 138th district in Georgia State House.
Hello, my name is Mark Arnett, and I'm running for state representative for Georgia House District 138. I grew up in this district. I know the wants, the needs, and the opportunities that are available in this district. I want to work together with every citizen, every resident of this district to help make it a better place. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown us many flaws in our infrastructure in healthcare system. That is why we must work to expand Medicaid now. We must work to provide coverage for nearly 500,000 Georgians. If we're able to expand Medicaid, we can add jobs to our economy, we can help keep rural hospitals from closing, and most importantly, we can make sure that every Georgian can go see a doctor whenever they need to without having to worry about medical debt. Our future is bright, but it'll only get to where it can become if we come together right now, if we work together and build a brighter future for our children and our grandchildren, for many generations to come. Again, my name is Mark Arnett, and I'm running for state representative for Georgia House District 138. Thank you. God bless this district, God bless this state, and God bless the United States of America.
Thanks, Mark. Now we're going to zoom out a bit and talk to Congressman Sanford Bishop Jr., who represents Georgia's 2nd Congressional District.
Yeah, well, I'm Congressman Sanford Bishop, and of course I represent the 2nd Congressional District of Georgia, which is 29 counties in middle and southwest Georgia. 3 counties are urban, Doherty, which is Albany, Muskogee, which is Columbus, and Bibb, which is Macon. And the other counties are rural counties, agricultural counties that really support the metropolitan service areas for the 3 metro areas. I have tried to position myself as a member of Congress. I want to use the political process to improve people's lives, because I learned in Political Science 101 that politics is nothing more, nothing less than who gets what, when, and how. And of course, it's elected officials and policymakers that make those decisions, but it's voters that select those elected officials. And of course, I've tried to position myself as a member of Congress, having served for 28 years in committees and on committees, so that I am in a position to really leverage the opportunities and use the process to help the people that I represent, to help our state, and to help generally the people of the United States of America. I believe very well positioned as a member of the Appropriations Committee to leverage the funds to return tax dollars to our area in Middle and South Georgia, and we've brought over $22 billion to our area by virtue of my service on these committees and my service in the Congress. I believe that I can and have used the political process to improve people's lives so as to bring jobs and a stronger economy, better education, safe communities, a clean environment, affordable health care, a strong national defense in the context of a balanced budget. We have done our best to give good account for our stewardship, bringing tax money back home to Middle and Southwest Georgia to improve our schools, to build roads, create jobs, to boost the local economy, and of course, make healthcare more accessible. The most significant challenge that we have in rural America, the challenges really were really unveiled and made very, very plain and clear with the coronavirus pandemic. We were woefully short in terms of our connectivity. Schools were shut down and kids had to have online instruction. And many of the youngsters in our district didn't have access to internet at home. As a consequence, it placed them at in a very precarious position. And I believe very firmly, and since I became chair of the subcommittee, I have committed and made it my project to assure that rural communities all across America are connected to the internet. The internet in the 21st century today is equivalent to what rural electrification was in 1929, 1930. If our communities are going to prosper, then we have got to be connected. There is no reason in the United States of America for it to matter what zip code a youngster grows up in, or his family is living in, or a business is located in. It should matter. It should not matter what that zip code is. He should have access, or she should have access to every resource that any youngster, any family, or any business anywhere in this country has. And that can be done through the internet. We have, through our subcommittee over the last 3 years, funded over $1 billion. And we've added in the FY21 budget for the agriculture subcommittee another $485 million to assure that we can accelerate the connectivity for our rural communities in America. And my particular concern is rural communities in middle and southwest Georgia. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. Now we are going to go over to Athens, where Mocha Jasmine Johnson is running for the 117th District of the Georgia State House.
Well, my name is Mocha Jasmine Johnson. I'm an educator, activist, and entrepreneur. I'm running for Georgia State House District 117. I'm also a mom and a glam mom of 9 beautiful glam babies. And so where do I begin? All right, so I would say about in 2015, towards the end of that year, there was a bar in downtown Athens, and their staff thought it was a great idea to create a drink called Niggerita. And so the news had basically found out about it. They published it in the paper. I'm waiting and watching to see what our government is gonna do. And when nothing was done, I decided for the first time ever that I wanted to mobilize my first rally. So my husband and I began planning our first rally, and on MLK Day of January 2016, I jumped into activism, and over 500 people showed up at UGA Arch to march throughout downtown Athens against discrimination. So I have been marching ever since for the past 4 years, and in addition to fighting against discriminative business practices, I've also advocated for cash bail reform, against police brutality, many other things. I've also served on the Board of Elections, so I've been engaged and involved in my community advocating for changes when it comes to mass incarceration, economic justice, ending the school to prison pipeline, and many other things. So fast forward now, we're in 2019, we have new state representatives, and it would seem as if they're trying to turn the times of hand, turn the clock back to before 1964. So I saw a lot of the things that we fought for on a local level basically in jeopardy because of the state representatives that we had dealing with women's rights. The hate crime bill, they didn't pass it in 2019. They thought it was better to protect the Confederate monument. That was something that we also were advocating for, was the Confederate monument to be moved. So there were several things that I saw that I felt like if we wanted to continue making progress and we want to continue making changes, we also have to change who is in leadership on the state level. And I decided to run for office. So I'm running for office office because I believe that it's time for change. I want to advocate for progressive policies, and they're in the way. So I took my hat off and jumped in.
Thank you, Mocha. Now we are heading into Atlanta, where Shay Roberts is running for the 52nd District in the Georgia House of Representatives.
Hi, I'm Shay Roberts, and I am the Democratic nominee for Georgia's State House, District 52. I am a Georgia native, and I have spent 32 of my last 50 years here in Georgia. I am an attorney, a small business owner, a licensed realtor, and a mother of 3 in a blended family with my husband and law partner, Brian. I've always believed that every generation has a responsibility to leave this world a little better than we found it, and frankly, I think we're failing our children. So I ran for this seat in 2018. Parkland was the final straw that compelled my first run. I knew 7 months was not much time to campaign against an incumbent. I couldn't let the seat go unchallenged again. I was the first Democrat to run since 2004. We knew the district was at least purple because Trump had only gotten 45% of the vote. And so after knocking doors 6 days a week in 100-degree heat, my team and I captured just shy of 48% in our first run. The good news is that Stacey Abrams captured 52% in our House district, confirming what we felt on the ground, which was that we'd just run out of time. But we know we have enough Democrats to win this seat. I couldn't let that be the end of it, especially now that the stakes are so much higher. And so we are back to finish what we started and flip this seat. As far as the most pressing issues in my district, I see 2 big ones, and they are kind of dependent upon each other. First, we are watching Republicans chip away at the foundation of our democracy, our right to vote and fairly elect our leaders. Between the rampant voter suppression, the lack of trust in our voting machines, and the manipulation of the voting district lines, Georgia's people are losing their voice, and they are really suffering because of it. Right now, we are all trying to survive this global pandemic and its resultant economic crisis, while our Republican leadership continues to ignore science and refuses to fully expand Medicaid, depriving almost 500,000 uninsured Georgians of health care. In fact, Governor Kemp and my opponent continue to advance these waivers instead that not only will cost Georgia taxpayers more, but will actually reduce the number of currently covered citizens. This makes no fiscal sense. And frankly, it's just cruel, even if we weren't in the middle of a public health crisis. Working families want to know they are the priority, not regressive legislation that doesn't match their values. Georgians want someone who will fight for them, and I'm ready to be that for House District 52 here in Georgia.
Thank you, Shay. Now we're going to hear from students in Atlanta University about the issues that they feel are the most pressing in this election.
My name is Rick Hart. I'm a junior political science major sociology minor at Morehouse College from Silver Spring, Maryland. And I'm here with my good friend, Bryce Berry. And we're going to talk about some issues that are important to us today. So Bryce, in this upcoming election, what are some issues that you find critically important, especially for us as young Black men and as youth?
I think the most important issue of our time is the existential threat of our lifetime, climate change. I feel like it's the most important issue that's going to be on the ballot for this election. There's 2 fundamental candidates, one who believes in science and one who does not. And the science, one candidate who will have science lead him into his climate policy and be transformative in creating a green energy future, a green future for our country. Of course, the response to the COVID-19 pandemic is a very big deal. Millions of people are still contracting COVID-19. Over 210,000 people are dead. We don't have a steady strategy yet or response yet. And again, that's 2 clear options. There's an issue of healthcare. One candidate who is in court right now to strip the Affordable Care Act, and one candidate who wants to build on it and expand on it. That's another bit. Then you go to criminal justice reform. We've seen a summer of racial injustice that mirrors 1968 and uprisings, and we need to finally take time for accountability and reform in the criminal justice system. And finally, a big thing I see is the economy. People like us are graduating into an economy that is doing worse than it was 4 years ago when Donald Trump first came into office, creating less jobs, less manufacturing opportunities for our workers, less opportunities for students. So we need to build back better with the economy as well. Those are the 5 issues. I don't know if you wanted 5, but I said 5.
That works, yeah. And I guess some issues for me, for sure. You definitely hit on a couple of them. Equitable access to healthcare. If you're elderly, if you're young, if you have a pre-existing condition, as Senator Harris said in that debate, they are coming for you. You have one party that is working to expand access to healthcare, while the other party is looking to cut it from 20, 30 million plus Americans each and every day. That scares me. As somebody who has elderly grandparents who are in need of prescription medication, as somebody that would like to remain on my parents' plan as long as possible, that kind of thing. Like, this is real life.
Exactly.
Equitable access to healthcare is one of the most fundamental issues of our time. Absolutely. Another thing that Bryce talked about, criminal justice reform. Instead of taking a piecemeal approach just to throw at Black voters and say, I accomplished the first step, that's it. Great, you accomplished the first step back. What's next? What's the second, third step back going to look like to really achieve meaningful structural systemic reform in our criminal justice system, in our criminal legal system, and in our institutions that the law functions off of? Thirdly, another issue that is very important to me is the issue of gun violence in America. It doesn't seem like you're seeing instances of gun violence, people shooting up, schools as regularly as we did maybe within these past 5 years. However, that doesn't mean the issue's gone. That
Right.
the next shooting could happen next week. We don't know, God forbid, but we don't know. We really don't know. And as Bryce stated, we are in a period in which you have more violence in our streets. I think there was like a 15% increase in violent crime. This is just a very turbulent time, and a lot of us are feeling unsafe in so many ways, whether it's the rhetoric coming from this president that kind of spews hate, that spews division, that just drives us further apart, that causes it. You have all these different facets that cause it, and we need some type of fundamental change. Another issue that I care deeply about is protecting the sanctity of our election system and our political process. The president of the United States is literally telling people that when they vote by mail, that their ballots are going to be thrown into rivers and creeks, or that their ballots will be thrown away just because they might be supporting him. Like, this president is sowing this just generalized sense of confusion amongst Americans to help him win re-election. And that's wrong. Like, that's fundamentally just, it's sick. And we can't stand by and let him do that to systems that we hold so near and dear. We are a fair and free democratic republic, at least it's how we stylize ourselves. When you have the leader of the so-called fair and free republic with using this rhetoric to delegitimize the electoral process, probably the only thing that we have left, what does that do for us?
Yeah.
And that deeply concerns me. That goes along with gerrymandering. I saw a video of the president of the Kansas State Senate talking about how she wanted to get rid of, she wanted to make all 4 Kansas districts GOP held, and they were trying to knock out the Democratic representative to draw her out of her district. Politicians should not choose their voters. Voters should choose their politicians. And again, the electoral process and gerrymandering are 2 things that I also care deeply about.
Yeah, I just could go on. There's the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
There's student debt relief. There is immigration reform. We always forget about the kids who are still in cages at the border. Unfortunately, and we forget about them. They're still in cages at the border. It's sick. It's our standing in the world, our democracy standing in the world. It's, as you said, foreign interference in our elections, the integrity of our elections. There's so many issues that makes this the most important election of our lifetime.
Absolutely. This election is going to hold ramifications. We're 20, we're sophomore and junior in high school, but this election holds ramifications to affect the next 40 plus years. And we have a choice to either go forward or take several steps back. And I'd say for both of us, the choice is clear amongst us. It's just a matter of the rest of the country realizing that.
Yeah, that's why I'm supporting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, because we were there when he won South Carolina, and remember the famous speech from Jim Clyburn. And Jim Clyburn, when he said, Joe Biden is just fundamentally good. I keep thinking about that, especially with these last 25 days to Election Day, about Joe Biden just being a fundamentally good man. Even when you disagree with him, he still makes sure there's a seat for you at the table. It goes to show the the character of this man in contrast to the current president. When he took down negative ads on Donald Trump when he was in the hospital, Donald Trump would never give him never give Joe the same grace. But the character of Joe, the goodness of Joe, did that, and then the intelligence of Kamala Harris. Not that Joe isn't intelligent, but the intelligence and brilliance of Kamala Harris, the way they balance each other out. Joe as a steady foreign policy hand, elder statesman, and Kamala as this new progressive face, they balance each other out. They work so well together. They do so well together, and they're both just good people.
Sure.
Above all else, they're just. You contrast that Kamala Harris to a man who let an AIDS crisis persist in Indiana and wrote in favor of conversion therapy for LGBTQ plus Americans.
The Religious Freedom Restoration Act that discriminated against LGBTQIA people.
The choice is clear. You have a fundamentally good ticket who generally cares about people. And a lot of people, young people, we would disagree with them. We obviously, everyone would disagree with them. Not everyone agrees on everything 100%. But Joe still understands that. Joe and Kamala, they understand that they bring us to the table and make sure that they hear our voices and make sure that they're working to implement our voices into the political process. That's why when we said it's the most important election of our lifetime, we mean this. It's true.
Yeah, and one thing that I definitely want to harp in on is, like you said, the contrast in candidates. Joe Biden is a great human, has proven that throughout his decades in public service. We might not agree with him on everything. However, this is our best shot forward at a future that we want to see. And then harping in on that contrast, you're talking about a bully, somebody that owes $421 million in debt to we don't know who, someone who has been caught with porn stars. You're talking about somebody that does not hold the fundamental character, the integrity necessary to lead this country. Again, the choice is clear. And then as for the vice presidential selection, Bryce, as you were saying, Kamala Harris with her intellect, her wit, her knowledge of the issues, her being able to have lived the issues, being an HBCU student, being an AKA, like your mother and my mother, right? Against somebody. I mean, look at this, like Kamala Harris and Mike Pence, you could argue the future of both parties, right? And if that's telling you something, like if Mike Pence is the future of the Republican Party, rest in peace.
God help
the Republican Party, because they're working backwards, catering to old rhetoric, to hateful rhetoric, to what older voters might want. This pro-business, anti-people rhetoric is just not what the future is going to look like. So they can do that all they want. We're just going to have to beat them at the ballot box.
And then it's funny because Joe is 77. Is he 77? I don't know how old he is.
He's up there.
He's up there. But you can still find a way to relate with him through his own personal losses and tragedies. When I think about the debate stage, when he talked about his son Hunter as he dealt with his drug issue, and you could feel the emotion from Joe when he was like, "My son, like many people, had a drug issue and beat it." Speaking as a person who has had friends that has dealt with drug issues and had to have gone to rehab, and to hear a candidate for president of the United States relate to everyday Americans in that way. Everyone knows someone who's struggling with drug addiction. And we know that Donald Trump used it as a political ploy, a political toy just to make fun of Hunter. And Joe used it as a relatable point to us, right, to the American people. It's not hard to relate to Joe and Kamala. And it's good. You should have a president, have a vice president who you can believe that you know them, even if you don't know them personally, but you know them and that they know you. That's how it should be.
Right. And I guess to close, what's one thing you think voters should know going to the polls or mailing in their ballot, whether you be going to the polls early or you be going on election day and you're standing in line for 3-4 hours, like could happen. We've seen it in the past. What's one thing you want voters that you think voters should know going in?
First and foremost, I want to say thank you to the voters. Thank you for being a voter.
Yeah.
And do whatever you have to do to make sure that your vote is counted. I know that I'm bringing a lawn chair to the polls with me. I am not moving until I've cast my ballot. But the most fundamental thing I want voters to know is that your small act is changing the course of time. It often gets conflated to that, oh, my little vote doesn't matter, or what is my one vote going to do? In this election that's a choice between if we want Donald Trump or if we want a democracy, if we want a republic. Your small little vote is changing the course of time. The world is looking to us in this moment, and Kamala said it best. The world is looking to us, asking us, what will we do? Who are we? And our response has to be that we are better than this. This one vote, this 1 second that you have when you put your pen to paper is changing history. It will correct the wrongs that we have dealt with for the past 4 years and work to finally create America that lives up to what it says on paper.
Yeah.
Your vote matters, and it's going to matter for generations to come.
Definitely. Yeah, so thank you all for listening, and we'll stop here.
Thank you for the students from Atlanta University. Next, in what was the closest U.S. House election in 2018, we're going to talk to Carolyn Bordeaux, who's running for Georgia's 7th Congressional District.
Hi, I am Carolyn Bordeaux, and I am running for Congress in Georgia's 7th Congressional District. I teach at Georgia State at the Andrew Young School of Policy Studies and have really spent my entire life in public service in different roles. In my early career, I was a legislative aide for several members of Congress and for a U.S. Senator. I was director of Georgia's Senate Budget and Evaluation Office. I founded an organization called the Center for State and Local Finance. And today I teach at Georgia State at the Andrew Young School of Policy Studies, and am very proud to be a part of that institution, which graduates more young African-American students than any other university in the country, and is really dedicated to first-generation college students. And so I'm very proud to be a part of that mission and that effort. I got into this race for a couple of reasons. One was the destruction of the Affordable Care Act. And I believe firmly that everybody deserves quality, affordable health care. Healthcare is a human right. My own parents struggled with this issue. My father suffered from a debilitating illness for almost 10 years. And my mother took care of him, and all of their discretionary income was eaten up paying for his prescription medications. In the 7th District, we have 100,000 people without health insurance, and that was before coronavirus. This is a moral issue to me, that we are hanging our people out to dry by leaving them without health care, without access to a doctor. It's also a fiscal issue because each and every one of us pay for this in our own rising premiums. So that was one big push to get into this race. Another one is I woke up on November 9th of 2016 and found out that Donald Trump had been elected president. And that means a lot of different things, but I try to sum it up. I believe in a country that is diverse, that is inclusive, that is global in its outlook and aspirations. I believe we need to invest in our people, invest in our young folks, make sure that you have access to an affordable college education. We need to invest in our infrastructure and make sure that we have the green economy for the 21st century and that we tackle the crisis of climate change. So those are some of the reasons that we are fighting so hard in Georgia 7. So the Affordable Care Act was a piece of legislation that was a really honest effort to try to get to ensuring everybody has quality, affordable health care. What many people don't realize is that after that legislation passed, it was defunded, it was litigated against. Here in Georgia, the state never expanded Medicaid, which means that 500,000 people in the state don't have health insurance because of that choice. So to fix healthcare, the most straightforward path is to go back and fix the Affordable Care Act, implement it the way it was intended. But we recognize that that legislation was not perfect. There are things that need to be fixed. And so my proposal is to introduce a public option to the exchange to provide a low-cost alternative for individuals and for small businesses. The 7th Congressional District is one of the most diverse districts in the Southeast. It is 20% African American, 19% Hispanic, and 14% Asian, which is a category very broadly defined everywhere, everyone from Israel, Palestine, all the way over to South Korea. So it is very, very diverse. 25% of the people in this district were born outside of this country. And this is a district that is not okay with the Trump agenda. So back when I was running for this seat in 2018, I was with a group of Pakistani Americans during Ramadan. And so this is the Muslim holiday where they fast during the day and then they break the fast in the evening. And I was joining a family and friends for the iftar dinner, where you break the fast. And at the end of the dinner, the patriarch of the family turned to me and said, can you address the audience? And I turned to him and I said, okay, just give me a feel though, what are people here? Are they Democrats? Are they Republicans? Are they not political? What's the lay of the land? And he turned to me and said, Madam, we are all Democrats now. And I see that over and over again as the immigrant communities of this district have just suffered under this current administration and the anti-immigrant furor that this president has generated is not okay. And that is one of the many issues that we are running to fix going forward.
Dr. King said that of all the injustices, inequality in healthcare is the most shocking and the most inhumane. And so when we passed the Affordable Care Act in this country and Georgia refused to expand Medicaid, I thought it was important to stand up. And so in this case, we stood up by sitting down. I staged a sit-in in Governor Nathan Deal's office. And during the sit-in, I was literally holding that sign with Dr. King's quote about inequality in healthcare. I was arrested along with a number of other folks who were engaged in that protest. And I just thought it was critically important to dramatize what we were doing or what we were failing to do here in Georgia. We literally are seeing people in this state uninsured and unnecessarily unemployed because politicians, Georgia politicians, were standing between the people and the care that they needed, financed by the money that they've already paid in their taxes. It's unjustifiable, it's impractical, it's immoral. Our current United States senators, Kelly Loeffler, and David Perdue, and Doug Collins on the House side, they're playing politics. And I guess they have the privilege of playing politics. After all, they have health care. Recently, we heard that the Southwest Georgia Regional Medical Center closed. That means that the citizens of Randolph County, and this is just one example, will have to drive as much as 45 minutes to get medical care. Well, if you're having a heart attack, or if you're in the middle of some other kind of medical emergency, 45 minutes to get to the hospital feels like an eternity. And it literally could be the difference between people living and dying. I stand at bedsides with people who are sick and trying to get well. I've been in the waiting rooms of intensive care units with countless families as they have had to make tough decisions about their loved ones. I don't know that people think about it in those terms when they go to the ballot box, but that's really what's at stake. Elections are hugely consequential. And when you're talking about healthcare, particularly in the middle of a global pandemic, elections can literally be a matter of life and death. I think people are wondering why nobody's looking out for them. They're looking out for special interests. to looking out for insurance companies. I think ordinary people are asking, well, who's looking out for us? And because I've been one of us for so long, I've spent my career and time in service and not in politics. I think I bring that perspective to Washington, which is clearly broken and has lost its way.
Thank you everyone for participating in the first series of the Progress Campaign's Get Out the Vote events. Unfortunately, not all the candidates were able to make it into the event given schedule and conflicts, but we will have a nationwide event on November 1st where they will be included and you can hear from them about their plans for Georgia in this United States Senate. Thank you for joining, and right now you can enjoy the music of Maggie Schneider as we take the night away.
Hi everyone, this is Maggie Schneider from Glimmers, and we are so excited to be sharing this live set for the Our Progress movement. Obviously, this election is very important and will determine what will happen with these next 4 years, and I can say safely for all of us in Glimmers that we want unity and not division. So make sure that you vote. It is so important. Make sure you tell your friends to vote, and we hope that you enjoy our set. Let's make a positive difference for these next 4 years and beyond.
Times are crazy right now, obviously, but I think music has a way of making us feel better and keeping us all together right now. So we're gonna play some more songs for you guys. This song's called For Me It's You, and it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, woo! Holding pattern, endless delays, and ways, navigating the speed or taking flight. Clouds fill my heart, shadows blur my eyes. You were always there, but never mind. Cause I'm afraid of heights, but this feels so right. I've always been on the outside looking in. Oh, 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 gotta take the path. Oh, we can make this the last day you wanna. Take the chance, take the fear, just try it. Without your touch, I feel like I'm dying. Now you're healing, fear, face to life.
This one's called The First Thing.
You faded away, I was torn at the seams, a bundle of nerves and a bubble of dreams, figuring out who I was. My songs are about you, didn't you know? I held my head high so my heart wouldn't show all the broken parts I hid in the dark of your room. Don't tell me who to be. I was young and naive, just passive and teen. I thought about us and I really believe I'm done being anyone else but me. But
Thank you so much.